Oh, all right. Looks like we are live. Dad, do you want to say hi?
Hey everybody, I'm in Oklahoma.
I think since I hadn't created it in advance, I'm not sure anybody is actually going to show up, but
Yeah, they show up
who
like
knows?
there's a 10-second delay, so they start showing up
Oh,
after.
Okay. Yep, see, someone showed up. And 3 people have showed up.
good
Cool.
morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey everybody.
So for the people who weren't here, you want to show off?
There's no Wi-Fi at this restaurant, which is really strange, but it is Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is really strange.
All right. Well, we got the closest thing to the whole family. Good morning, Mr. Jonathan. Oh, good morning, Miss Cynthia. Oh, Miss Celia. Yeah, so.
Surrender, Katie, Terry, Leslie, Jonathan. Thank y'all for letting us know that y'all are here.
Oklahoma is strange. Yeah.
So he started.
Very nice.
He started driving back yesterday. Was it right after your show yesterday, or when time did you leave yesterday?
Yeah, I 9:04.
Okay, so enough time for you did your show and then you did the Minnesota long goodbye, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Minnesota long goodbye takes about an hour and a half, so that sounds about right.
That's just true. You move about one step every 16 minutes towards the vehicle. But yeah, then I drove until 9 something in the evening and stopped at Mattfield Green service area in Kansas, near the Kansas, halfway through Kansas.
That is a long goodbye. I agree, Mr. Jonathan.
Yeah. But he will hopefully be back with us sometime this late afternoon because he does not feel like he needs to push through all in one go this time. That makes me feel much better that he has actually gotten sleep rather than doing 19 hours of driving straight through.
I slept a long time. I slept longer. Spiderweb. I slept a lot longer than I expected to sleep.
So yeah. So he should be here to do Merriweather's World. So
this is our farewell performance.
For now.
Oh, hello, Miss Melissa.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
So we weren't quite sure what to talk about, but Kiki Miniweather has read this really interesting book, and she thought she would talk about that. So you want to introduce this book that you have been reading?
I guess I will. It's called Tuesdays with Maury, as you might have guessed from the title of the broadcast. And
show the cover.
Oh, pretty nice, modern-esque design. I don't know. One of the things that I guess the central theme of it that I thought was really applicable, at least to today's world, was to know you're going to die and be prepared for it at any time. That way you can actually be more involved in your life when you're living. So the whole premise, if you would, was if you I guess recognize the fact that yes, one day your time here is going to be up. You can focus less on a constant running away from that fact and filling your life with meaningless things and instead doing what all of y'all and Dad are doing, and that's being prepared and living to the fullest, creating a community, being part of a community, just not running from something, but creating and just living. So yeah, it's
It looks like there's a couple people made some comments. Jonathan was asking what is the topic for tonight. Meriwether, you want to answer that for tonight's show?
Okay, so the topic tonight is how to drive across the country really cheaply.
Okay, because you've done that. It'll be twice now. Okay, and also, Cecilia's asking if you could get an update on Mama Weather.
Yeah, so she started chemo on Friday, was doing really well, but then yesterday morning the side effects of the chemo started hitting, and so she's in for a rough patch again. But the current prognosis is very good. They think they caught it early enough that they will be able to do a complete recovery, complete cure. So she has to go through some hard times to get to the better time.
Mm-hmm.
But once they do that, they think she has years and years and years left in her.
Yeah, so she's going to keep on fighting.
Yep. Yeah, I figure she's not quite ready to let us kids go completely controlled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, me. The other two kids, the other two sons are the nice ones, and then I'm the crazy one.
No. My understanding is that she didn't actually disown you for the haircut.
She disowned me, but then she welcomed me back.
Oh, okay, so she did disown.
No one said anything about the haircut while I was up there. Dad didn't say anything. Mom didn't. I really expected Dad to pull up the head and say, "Okay, it's time, Mark," but he didn't.
Okay. Well, I guess they had all had time to get used to the idea.
I think so. I need to get it shaved and trimmed again when I get home.
Oh wow, Miss Cecelia, that's really motivational. Thank you.
Okay. Did you want to show the motivational?
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's amazing. It gives me hope. Thank you.
What were some of the other mini stories in the book? Like certain things that in particular. It sounds like the book is a conversation, multiple conversations.
So you want to return back to the book Tuesdays with Maury? Were there any particular sections that you found interesting? Any quotes that you had? I haven't actually read the book. I ought to. So
I guess so. One of the things that actually, I guess, helped me have a more positive outlook on things, which is kind of hard right now. It's really hard right now. Was don't cling to things because everything is impermanent. And he says one of the ways that you kind of let go of all that and just start living is detachment. And it's, say you experience something really emotionally heavy, anger, sadness, whatnot, you then detach. And detachment doesn't mean you don't let that experience fully penetrate you. On the contrary, you let it penetrate you fully, and that's how you are able to leave it. So you say, I have experienced this, and now I'm going to take that experience and set it aside. It's like you check it off your bucket list. And that way you can let go of all this incredible, frustration at the world, at yourself, all these, negative experiences. You can say, okay, I've experienced that, and now I can let it go. Yeah. And you can start living instead of running from a negative thing or a perception of death as something bigger than part of life.
So, I want to say this book is actually a summer reading book for her school. And I think that they chose the books that they have very carefully for what books they want people to read. So this is the book that they want kids to read just before they enter their senior year, their last year of high school. It helps. What I find also interesting is that Mamba Weather also has her required reading, and one of her summer books, I actually have been listening it with her as an audiobook, and it was the Screw Tape Letters. And it also has a similar message about how you react to the world around you, that you see what's there and you accept it factually at base value of this is what it is, and then you can react to it seeing factually, or you can react to it emotionally, and how you balance that.
Yeah. Also, he says, I'm going to buy this book for my daughter. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's by Mitch Albom. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah, really good book.
Yeah, at her school, they get quotes from the seniors about defining moments. And every year they create posters of the seniors. And every now and then I'd read one of those quotes, and they would talk about their defining moment being reading this book. So I thought it was really, really cool now that she gets to experience that. Do you want to tell a little bit more about the format of the book for people who haven't read it?
I suppose it's.
And how many pages is it?
Yeah. So like it's not like a novel. It's not how is it set up?
Yeah, so it's 201 pages, and it kind of starts with a little biography of who Maury was. He's a college professor to the author, and basically Maury discovers he has a terminal illness, and then gives little Tuesday lectures to Mitch until he dies. And then Mitch goes on and takes all these lectures that he's gotten and turns it into this book. And it's just a really, really amazing read, because Maury actually describes himself at one point as being interesting to the public all of a sudden with this terminal disease, because he's now a bridge basically in between life and death. And so he's just taking us all on like the journey with him, and how he is able to live the most even as he's dying. So
Cleo has a nice comment here.
yeah.
So if you want a lighter read, you can have The Tao of Pooh and the Dalai Lama's Cat. Meriwether, you have that book, right? The Tao of Pooh and also The Tea of Piglet, I think.
Yeah, I didn't care for the Tea of Piglet as much. I thought it was a little more simplified, but the Tao of Pooh was really, really good as an introductory into like the Zen philosophy and a kind of almost a stoic approach to life. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed the Tao of Pooh.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
but the Tea of Piglet seemed like he was just trying to harness the market again.
Mm.
Ooh, sorry, just off print.
Okay.
And yes, forgot to mention, like Miss Sherry said, this is a true story, and you can actually find the interviews on YouTube that Nightline did on Maury. So it's really cool if you want to connect it to other types of media.
And then it looks like Kelly has another suggestion.
Oh, she says, if you want a book that will make you grateful, Angela's Ashes. I need to look into that.
Yeah, the Ireland, World War II-ish, I think that was.
Well, that's a cool insight. Miss Mueller says that it was a benefit was learning how to journal important events, and yeah, the documentation here it's really amazing.
Cool.
Oh yeah, that's.
So one of the things that you need to do when you read a book now is that you like to annotate it. You want to show how you annotate a book? I'll just
put an arrow and then write some stuff up there. So I did this one in pencil, but sometimes I'll do it in pen. I know some people don't like writing in books, but I personally find it helpful because you can kind of reflect in the margins, and it's a little easier.
Yeah. So we had to go and buy all of the textbooks for both girls for the fall, and we're going through this with, and we're like, oh, we have that copy of, this play or this novel, but we can't use it over again because it's got all of the insights on it. And so we're finding like, okay, we're just sending so much money on textbooks, but it's worth it to have a fresh, clean copy for each new student so that they can have their own interaction with the story, with the book, with the novel, where they can have their conversation in the margins with the book and the author of the book.
As Dad was saying, yeah, it is Irish, and Miss Hunt warns that the language is very Irish.
Is that Angela's Ashes?
Yeah, Angela's Ashes.
And Sherry has a quote from the Talk Pooh book.
Oh yeah. She says, "Today is my favorite day. Yesterday and tomorrow are too much day for me."
Too much day. So
yeah,
stick with today. It's the best day to be living in.
Oh, I like that. Mr. Osterberg doodles in the margins.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I'm so happy you ordered the Tuesdays with Maury, Mr. Terry Smith. That's really amazing.
Cool.
Well, yeah. So, I don't know. Is there any update on the bread war?
Well, there hasn't been any bread war going on.
Have you been
right
practicing?
now.
Prepping?
Have I been prepping for
when
the bread
your
war?
formidable opponent arrives back from Minnesota with some top-notch new Minnesotan bread making skills?
Well, I mean, it's going to take him a while because JoJo is sleeping right now, and so it's going to take him a while to wake up JoJo. I'm not too worried about that.
Actually, Miss Cleo, yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I find it really cool when there's annotations by other people because it gives you a little insight into like their perspective of the world, and because everyone's is so different, actually.
When I first found out that they had to write in their books, I was like, I was so horrified because when I went to school, we didn't buy our own books. They weren't consumable books. We got the book from the school and we weren't supposed to write in them at all. And whenever I did have to write in, I would write in the absolute faintest pencil because then I'd have to go back and erase it.
Oh, she came home horrified that I was there with a highlighter just...
And she likes color, so a lot of times when
yeah.
she highlights things or annotates them, they will be done, like with a colored marker or different colored pens and things like that. But what helped me get over that actually was a comment that someone said is who am I actually honoring when I don't write in the book? And I'm not honoring the author of the story because if the book has gone out there is my fear of writing in the book is trying to preserve not what the author wrote, but what the publisher created, that the publisher created the blank margins there. And the fact is the publisher doesn't care. The publisher would actually prefer if you write it up and mark it up, because then if someone else wants a fresh copy, they'll go buy a fresh copy. And so that's kind of what helped me get over the fear of writing in a book.
Oh, I would wear erasers at the end of the term. Oh no.
Oh, Sherry's saying if you could do illustrations, that'd be a great idea.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love colored pencil. Yeah. Fun times.
There was what was the other book you were showing me yesterday? They had the illustrations and the Good Morning, Good Night book.
So Mom recently got into the lovely musical Hamilton. Many of my friends have just absolutely fallen in love with it. Personally, I've never watched it. I'm a little intimidated by it because it's apparently it has quite addicting qualities. But the author of the play, Lin-Manuel Miranda, wrote a little book of like pep talks. You read one, you can just open it at random. You read one in the morning and one at the night, and it's these little like. So the preface was like it's small speeches that he wished somebody would give to him on that particular day, and he combined them all into this really nice book, and it's illustrated as well. So it's just really positive energy. Yeah, it's called Good Morning, Good Night.
So you read one in the page in the morning and one at night. That book actually inspired you to create a similar book for one of your friends, didn't it? It's still a little book, not like a full book.
Oh, not a full book.
A little booklet.
A little booklet of fun rhymes for one of my friends who's been struggling a lot.
And it's illustrated, of course.
Yeah.
I wonder if Chirpy would like such a book of his or her sake.
Here, I'm actually gonna get the book and bring it over. Have some quality time with Mrs. Weather.
No, don't leave me alone. Okay. Let's see. So Minnie Weather's going to go find the book. I wish she had let me run off to get it because I'm just going to open this book at random and read something that she has underlined. Let's see. I've learned this much about marriage, he said. You get tested, you find out who you are, who the other person is, and how you accommodate or don't. It's interesting. That's the affirmance and
All right, so this is the book that.
Good Morning, Good Night.
Yep, it's illustrated by Johnny Sun. So yeah, I highly recommend this too. It's really nice.
So if we look at it here, so again, opening it at a random page here. So there's a good morning here. Good morning. The moment that connects you to your true passion might be on the other side of breakfast, or just a baby step there. Let's see. There's breakfast and the little steps. And then at the evening, it's got another quote that relates to it. It says, good night. The moment that connects you to your true passion might be on the other side of tonight, or just a baby step there. Let's see. Some nice short little sayings and then pictures that go with it. And you want to show the version that you are working on for your friends?
Oh, sure. There's something right there. So, this is weird. I've never really.
Well, pick a page that's not too personal.
Okay, so here's one of the ones that I wrote to, I guess, motivate her and kind of help her.
You gotta show the pictures.
Okay, it's a little weird. I don't know. There's this one. So this is her. And I guess the poem that I wrote for her was, it's okay to be open. It's okay to feel hurt. Your heart will get better. Your life still has worth. She struggles a lot with insecurity, and it's just a little pick-me-up for her. And I've been sending her one of these every now and then. I think I have like 8 or so accumulated.
Yeah, so it's one where you take a picture and you send it on your phone because you can't give it to her, and then later on she'll give it to her in person.
So yeah, but it's just a little thing.
I like books that I can pick up and read, what I call non-sequentially, where you just open up random and you can read something right there without having to read through the whole thing in the first. Okay.
Yeah, that's basically it. Oh,
Yeah.
so
So different books.
yeah, actually, a really good point is made here. You never know how that gesture could help anyone in the world. It's a good insight, because I don't know, you could encounter people, and like sometimes you're having a bad day, and someone giving you a look at the grocery store, saying something on more on the negative side, it can really send you spiraling down for that day. And so just I don't know, always remember that you have no clue what's going on in a stranger's life, and to be kind. Yeah, so you never know how a gesture could help someone or hurt someone.
Mhm.
And you got to be careful with that power.
Mhm. Well, one thing that I find is sometimes if you feel called to say something or do something, and you're like, you don't know why, but then you find out later on, and sometimes it's much later on, that that was something what that person needed to hear. And I've also been the recipient of it sometimes. Is someone says something just kind of out of the blue, and I'm like, oh wow, I forget about the rest of the world out there, and what's going on in it and how it affects me. We get too wrapped up in our own individual lives.
And that actually ties back to another quote from Tuesdays with Maury. It's, "Without love, we are birds with no wings." And it doesn't mean like romantic love. It doesn't have to be that kind, but relation with another human being. Without that, we as humans, as relational beings, are stunted. So, oh, bye, Miss Cleo, Miss Punya. So nice to see you. Oh yeah, don't forget to connect. Always connect it back. It's kind of cool. It's almost like a puzzle. I don't know if y'all find it like that, but literature, when you can find examples of literature in real life and stuff like that, it kind of all ties together real nicely. First of all, that's a good book you're reading, and second of all, it's fun. It's fun. It's
So like the way I see with books is books help you connect with even more people. I mean, you have to connect with people, real people in real life that live in the same time and space as you, but you can connect to even more people beyond that through books, because you connect through their words and the ideas and the conversations that they spark in you.
Can I add something there?
oh yeah.
Okay.
So if you don't read books, you only live one life, your own. But if you read books, you get blessed with multiple lives.
You gotta yell, Dad.
Is there a way to turn the volume up on this?
It's at max.
Is that max already? Okay.
Or you can repeat it to them for me.
All right. So if you don't read books, you only live one life, and that's your own, and you have to like experience and figure everything out for yourself. But if you do read books written, by other people, you can experience the world through their eyes, and it helps you navigate better. It's like little maps to figuring out how to live.
Both through what they've done well and also the mistakes that they've made, as you can read about other people's mistakes and not have to do that yourself.
A book addiction is not bad.
And the other thing that I like about books is we have this thing called a public library. And I think I have 3 library cards that I can check out books on. And I've been checking out books also with for Mamba Weather, because she started recently getting into books, and she found a series of books that she was interested. So I just went through all three library accounts and put all the next books on hold so that they would come in, and suddenly a new book will come in, and I find they come in a lot sooner if you have holds on at 3 books. Then as soon as we get it from one library, then I go cancel hold at all the other libraries.
All right, so we got 1 more minute. I'm gonna say Dad is kind of the new Chirpy here. What's your word of wisdom, Dad?
Oh, Chirpy's words of wisdom.
Yes, you're a family of Chirpies. I have transmitted my chirpiness to him.
Yeah. So just live while you can live. Live while you can live.
Live while you can live. Is the corollary to that mean when you can't live anymore, don't?
Oh, no, do what you can. Live your life. Live your life full. Experience a lot. Because at some point, you can't anymore. So while you can, keep getting those experiences, keep reading those books, keep connecting to people.
Mm-hmm.
Eat that food you want to eat. That bug or that worm.
Okay.
All right. And those were the words of wisdom. So go out, be a happier person, inspire someone to read today, read some more yourself, and have an awesome Wednesday.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Because I'm a rule checker. What are the... Okay. All right, and then we hit the
And
end broadcast.